I'm going to show you today Bubble.us, which is a free online program that can create graphic organizers and mind maps for your students. The program is not free if you create an account. When you go to the website, this is what it looks like, and you'll see it say sign up, sign in, or start brainstorming. And if you click sign up, it'll show you that you could create a free account, but it only allows you to make 3 mind maps that you can save and share. You could also do a 30-day trial of these other versions, which may be useful if you're looking to do some more complicated things. But for my purposes, the website works really well. I think in its free state, where you don't actually create an account but just log on. And for me, I prefer this anyway because I'm working with second graders who creating an account could be really complex and time consuming. So all you have to do when you go to the site is click Start Brainstorming, and it'll have this little yellow button that says Start Here. And this is just the start of your web, so you could type whatever you wanted there. My students use mind maps all the time in writing. I think it's also a really useful graphic organizer that I could do for phonics activities. So we'll just say we're in phonics right now, and I'll imagine that we're working on the long E sound. And I want my kids to work on 2 spelling patterns, let's say. So it gives you really simple directions right here. I'm telling you exactly what to press. I can do that on my keyboard and click Control Enter. Or if I would rather, I can just click right on that button, and it will create this little child button. So maybe I'm working with my students on the spelling pattern EE, and also on the spelling pattern EA. If I were doing that and I wanted to create a bubble that also said EA, I would go back up to my parent bubble, and I'm just going to click over here and create a new one that says EA. Now if I wanted kids to brainstorm words, and so you can see I can just slide the screen like that to give myself more room, I'm going to click on the bubble I would like to work with first. I'll have to be careful that I don't see how I just selected the letters. I don't want to do that. Control Enter. When I'm ready to type, I wouldn't want to do that. So maybe I thought of a word. Green. And I could just add that right there. I can continue making bubbles underneath. Oops. Continue making bubbles underneath. Or if I would rather, I could come back up here, and when I click on this again, it's going to make it come from this particular spot to add my next one. If I want to add to this, I would just come over here, follow the same thing. Where it says tab to the side, this is going to create another one from this direction. So I could also do that this way. If I'm here, instead of coming back up here to do Control Enter or to click on the button, I can just be here and press tab. That brings me to that bubble, or I can come here and press tab again to create a new one. Just making it a little bit faster and easier. If I created a bubble that I do not need, I'm just going to hover over it until this window comes up. The window will allow me to change colors of the bubble. It's also going to let me change the size of, there's no text in there yet. Let's say I have the word screen. You can see how I increased the size of the text by doing that. I can also delete the bubble that I like this, and come over here and delete these. If I want to move a bubble around, I just pick it up and slide it where I want it to go. If for some reason I wanted to draw a little arrow showing a relationship between bubbles, which I wouldn't do in this particular map, but maybe in another one, I could just slide the arrow like this, and if I wanted to label it, I would just come over here and type a label. Hello. And then that's that on my line. This is a bubble I created earlier, one of homophones. Really simple. Here you can see there. I chose to make this one go down because there were 3 versions of that word. But the others, you can see there's only 2, so their relationship is pretty clear. The screencast max. There we go. I can zoom out like this. I also created another unrelated map here, which I think would be another really great way for me to use this, would be in writing. I might give the kids an assignment to make a persuasive letter, so they could come up with some different people to write to, maybe to mom, and they might want to tell their mom, we should get a dog, or I should have a later bedtime, or, oops, don't want that one, I want to add to. Another thing you could ask mom, maybe, I should be allowed to go to summer camp. In this bubble, I also came up with some other people the kid might want to write to, maybe the mayor asking to have swings added to a city park, or Mrs. Darter, who's my school's principal, saying we should get more recess, we should start a recycling program, and this would be a really useful tool for my students to have as a brainstorming tool. I can't save it without an account on the internet, but I can export it, and when you export it, that's going to save it as a JPEG, which will download right to the computer. Here it says new mind map. Something I could have my students do is just create a new bubble that's unrelated to another one, put their name on it, and then their idea that they selected in writing, they could maybe say my favorite idea. And this is something that they could save to the computer, that they could then send to me, or even without saving it, they would be able to just print it and then they would have that map. For my students, I think this would be a really beneficial tool because when they're creating webs, it's very difficult for them to space their ideas appropriately on the paper. If they were doing this persuasive letter and they all of a sudden thought of a new person they could write to, often it's very hard for them to find room to add that new idea. But with the map on Bubble.us, they can just slide their ideas around to make room. They can come here and change the font size to make it smaller so that more things can be added. And this would be really, really helpful thing for them to use. I think this site really meets some ISTE standards, one of which would be 1C, the teacher standard to promote student reflection using collaborative tools to reveal and clarify students' conceptual understanding and thinking, planning, and creative processes. I think this is obviously a very great planning tool. It could also really be collaborative if you had students work together on this. They could take turns adding ideas, which is something that I commonly do with their own graphic organizers on notebooks. They just pass the notebook around. This they could pass around on laptops or tablets. This is also something I could broadcast onto the smartboard, and we could talk about ideas as a class and brainstorm together. It also meets the teacher standard 2B, which is develop technology-enriched learning environments that enable all students to pursue their individual curiosities and become active participants in setting their own goals, managing their own learning, and assessing their own progress. This really puts the power in their hands to determine the direction that they're going to go, and it's a great tool for managing their thinking. So I hope you've learned a little bit from this tutorial and that you try Bubble.us. There are a lot of cool mind mapping tools, but I think this, of the ones I found, is the most simple and would really be a great tool for elementary kids. Thanks.